So the new lines that were drawn, like I said, you filed a lawsuit against the state for these lines. What law do you believe these lines to be in violation of? What is it? Just the U.S. House lines, or is it state House and state Senate lines? Talk to us about the suit. What law do you think is being violated? What is it over, and what is your path to winning? Do you think you can win?
Well, we are suing not only concerning the congressional maps, but also the state house maps as well. As to the congressional maps, we are still concerned that District 7 has used race more so than any other indicator as the legislature was drawing those lines. And they are in violation not only of the United States Constitution, but Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act as well. Now, we know that there are other sections of the Voting Rights Act that have been nullified and are no longer operative. And Alabama used to have to comply with those sections as well. It used to be that when Alabama wanted to change its district lines, it had to go and get a review and permission from the Department of Justice because they had demonstrated a complete and total inability to draw maps without inappropriately taking race into consideration. This is the first cycle where they don't have to do that. And
Right.
What we see with District 7 is that whereas all of the other congressional districts have only one or two county splits as they were pulling those districts together, District 7 has something like 7 or 8 or 9 county splits, because they were trying to take little bits here and little bits there to make sure that they got the right population count in District 7. And, by the way, they wanted to get those periphery Black folks on those counties at the edge of District 7.
They wanted to throw them in. Yeah, they wanted to throw them into the District 7 so that they could vote, so that they wouldn't be voting the wrong way in their districts. They wanted to throw them all in one Democrat's district so that they can dilute all of their power into that one person and not have it. Not have it anywhere else, not have the challenge anywhere else. And you mentioned that the case that you were referring to is Shelby v. Holder, which was decided in 2014, maybe, at the Supreme Court.
14?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, at the Supreme Court. And what that did was, it gutted the Voting Rights Act for people that may not be familiar with that. And like you were talking, that was called pre-clearance. And I think it was Antonin Scalia who basically said in his opinion that they were doing this because the Congress was the law was ratified, the Voting Rights Act, including pre-clearance, was just ratified by the Congress before that. And Scalia said in his opinion that, we're going to get rid of this because Congress would never have the will to do it otherwise because they're afraid of being called racist or something. And so, conservatives, again, like there's so much hypocrisy when you're talking about the Republican Party and the conservative movement in the United States, because they're always deriding activist judges who don't interpret the law, who try to put forth their vision for America instead of just interpreting the law. And in his opinion, he said that's what he was doing. I mean, it's astounding. And of course they don't care about that. They're glad that they can get black people and Democrats out of power. And so so what the last thing before we let you go, how do you see your path to victory looking? I know that there have been some gerrymandering cases that have been successful and some that haven't. So how do you feel about your chances going forward?
Well, our chances going forward on the law are strong. Our team has done a lot of work to look at the population of Alabama, how it's changed, and what is appropriate in drawing the line so that there is proportional representation. And we are relying on the fact that the state has at least testified in the State House that they didn't do any of those studies. They didn't do any of that hard work in evaluating and ensuring that they were not packing Black voters in one part of the state or cracking Black voters, that is, artificially separating a block of voters in other parts of the state, specifically Huntsville. We are before a 3-judge panel. As you know, there are 2 other lawsuits going forward on the congressional seats as well. And we are already hot and heavy into the litigation process. We had a hearing today. We have hearings after the first of the year. And our hope and expectation is that the court will take seriously that the Voting Rights Act, intended for a very detail-oriented process, and the state just failed to take their responsibilities to do that process seriously.
Tish, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Good night, all.
All right, thanks. That was Tish Faulks. She is the legal director for the Alabama ACLU, talking about their lawsuit against the state of Alabama for their gerrymandered districts. Very important. It would be very good for the people of Alabama if they can win.